Hi guys, it's Sherry. Today we are going to be creating a necklace, and we are also going to be using some of my Mojave turquoise that I made. So if you haven't seen me make this, look onto my YouTube channel and you'll see a tutorial on how to create this. I have my orange Primo clay. This is rolled out to the thickest setting, and this is called burnt orange, so you know which orange it is. So the first thing that we are going to do is get our turquoise, and I am going to cut out a few pieces using my rectangle cutter. We'll start out with 6 pieces and see how many more we need, if any. Place that off to the side for a moment. And then I'm going to take these rectangles and I'm just going to cut them right in half, because I want them to be squares. Oops, there's one. So I'm just going to kind of go across, and I am not going to put them right next to each other, like they're not going to be touching each other, but they are close to each other, okay? Okay, so now I'm just going to press these down carefully, and I'm not mushing them, I'm just kind of making sure they're down onto my paper. And then I'm going to take my straight ends of my wax paper, and I am going to go right across and try to keep that nice and level. That'll kind of help tell you if your little blocks are straight too. So if they're not, just kind of push them into place a little bit. And then I have my gold mica powder. I'm just going to put a little bit in my lid. Oops, that's way too much. And then I am going to go right up to that area, right against the turquoise. And lift carefully, and then you have a beautiful straight line right there. We're going to go to the top and do the same thing. Lift that up, and now get your ball tool and pick a small one. Stick it into your mica powder and just very gently start pushing down in different areas. So we want to just make little dots, but we don't want to go too deep. Kind of give me an idea how far I need to go down. So I'm just kind of laying my cutter out to get a general idea. And I'm actually going to stop right here, because I do not need to go any further down with those dots. Okay, so that's what I got done so far. Now I'm going to take my cutter, and I'm going to go in between each one of those lines when I do my cut, because this is not a very wide one, and I want it to make it look like they're placed together like little blocks. So I'm going to kind of offset it a bit, but make sure that that line is somewhere on here. I'm thinking about right there. And I am going to get my saran wrap because I would like to have it kind of domed over a little bit. I don't want a full straight cut. Oh, it's terrible. Actually, you know what? I should probably, no, that'll be okay. So press down. And what I would like to do is kind of mark this area so I know where my cutters are going to go. So they were kind of all laying in the same area, so to speak. So that's what I have so far. I pull this all up. Okay, so my next step is I am going to get some black. Take half of that. I'm going to put this on. I'm going to run this through my pasta machine on my third thinnest setting. So I am going to take, I have this roller, and when you roll it, it looks like sandpaper. So I'm going to roll this over my piece and just get that all marked up real nice. And I like to kind of go up and down so I know that the whole thing is completely textured and looks really cool. Then I'm going to take my gold mica powder and I'm going to go over this. Let me just use my finger. I'm going to go over it one more time to see if I could kind of break it up a bit. There we go. That's what I wanted. I didn't want it to be fully like 100% gold. Come on, get off. Okay. Now, let's get our saran wrap once again, and then we will cut out the same cut, using the same cutters. We'll cut out the same thing because these are going to be the back. And let's see, do I have wire? Where's my wire? Okay, so I have my tile. I'm going to carefully lift these up. And then carefully, oops, lift these ones up. Okay. And I have a piece of wire here. And I am going to just cut off a little bit. So take your wire, put it onto your clay, take your other piece, and then just match them up, line everything up nicely. They sometimes stretch, so you just got to kind of work with it. Make sure everything looks nice. Kind of blend it nicely together on the sides. You'll have your opening for your wire. And I am going to use the top of my line here as a guide. That's how I'm going to know where to put my wire here. And once I know that, then I'll squeeze down and figure out that that's where it's going to go. When you're laying your piece down, make sure that it's straight and even. It doesn't look funny. Because when you're playing around with your clay that much, it kind of moves around and gets funny looking. And then you see how like some of the dots got missed. I'm just going to add a couple more if I feel that I want more on that piece. You could also use, if you don't have wire, eye pin. You could do that as well. All right, so I have all my pieces together, as you can see. Now I'm just going to make sure that everything is straight on my tile here, and that I like to kind of line up the two that are the same and try to make sure that they're the same size, because sometimes, like I said before, they get a little bit, you know, stretched out or distorted, and you want to make sure that if you're using these pieces in the same type of necklace, that they are the same size and they look the same. So I like all my pieces. I think we're good. I'm going to place these in the oven for a half hour at 275, and then we'll come back. Okay guys, so my pieces are out of the oven, and now the first thing I want to do is start kind of placing these together. And I have my wire. This is the same wire that I cut up to put these pieces together, and I got to decide exactly how I would like to set these up. So I'm thinking I am just going to kind of go, obviously, the large to small on each side, because that makes the most sense. So something like that. And I'm not going to add these tiny ones to the side. They're just too small, and for this particular necklace. I also have some gem beads that I want to incorporate. So the first thing I am going to do is start pulling out my wires that I put in here. After I put these all on the wire, then I will seal them with some of my glaze. So I'm just going to get my wire. I am not going to cut my wire yet, because I don't know how much of it I will need right away. So I'm going to put my bead on, and then I will put my wire right in the hole that I created. And then slide that through. And do another bead. And just follow suit on that. All right, so now I'll cut that off. I'm going to bend that off to the side. And cut this side and do the same thing. Oh, I need my other bead. So I am going to have to pull this down just a tad bit. There we go. Pull that down a little. And bend that one over as well. So that's what we have so far, and I think it looks fantastic. I am very happy with this. I think this looks great. How pretty is that? That's gonna look really good on a necklace. All right, so now what I want to do is take this, I'm going to turn this over to create a loop. And do the same thing on this side. Create a loop. And then you can see, you could bend this any way that you need to add your chain. So I'm gonna add my chain and then I will glaze this. This way I can hang it up to let it dry completely. Okay, so I have my chain here that I am going to use. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this right in half. And the easiest way to do that is get your wire, because you want to make sure that it's even. Get a piece of wire or one of your tools that you can kind of poke it through. And then hold it straight and kind of get an idea of where your middle point is. And right here's my middle. So now I know what link I have to cut to make sure that this is even. And what I do is I don't measure these as much anymore on a ruler like I used to. What I do is I kind of wrap it around my neck and see where I want my main piece to lay on my chest. This way I know exactly how long my piece needs to be, because sometimes you'll measure them and they just are a tad bit too short or a tad bit too long, and I just want to make sure that this is going to fit for me. If you decide to sell, you can get somebody else's measurements and go about it that way, but this piece is for me. And that's how I like to do my measuring now, because it just works more convenient to make sure that it's going to fit my neck properly. And you can see all I'm doing is opening up my little loop. I'm adding my chain. Oops. And then I am going to reclose. And then I like to kind of squeeze it together and make sure it's not going to come loose. Then I am going to get my lobster claw clasp and 2 small jump rings. Put your jump ring on the last link, add your clasp, and then close all the way. And make sure this is closed all the way. There we go. This one I did not have to I didn't have to sand this down because everything was nice and smooth already. So my last step is to get my gloss glaze, and then I will brush this over my pieces and then hang it up to completely dry. And the reason we do the gloss glaze is to protect the mica powder. You could do a matte glaze if you choose to. It's completely up to you what you want to use. I'll do all the fronts first. And the wire I'm using is, I believe, a 20 gauge wire. I ripped it off, but I believe it's a 20 gauge. And here is our piece. It's finally dried. It looks gorgeous. I am super happy with this. I will take a photo of me wearing this so you guys can really see what it looks like on. And the great thing is this is flexible. So if you want your piece out wider, you can. If you want it to kind of go up, you just adjust your wire and there you go. And that's why I like using the wire instead of doing all the little connections of the jump ring, because it just makes it so much easier, and really you have full control of how you want your pieces to lay. So you can even lay it straight like this if you want. I mean, it's a really neat flexible piece, and I really hope you guys enjoyed creating this along with me. If you did, please help me out. Like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.